Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, I finally met my book deadline. Man, I felt like my head was going to explode like Michael Ironside in the Scanners movie last week. But I'm back and feeling much more relaxed about life, the universe, and everything. And a question I want to ask you all today is, do we have any music lovers in the house? Good answer, because we have a great show lined up for you today. Because as you all know, I'm a huge music fan, and when I look back at how I've consumed music over the years, it completely fascinates me by how it evolved. From me buying a vinyl album and admiring the cover art and reading every inch of the credit notes, to cassette tapes, CDs, mini-disc. Remember mini-disc? And then, of course, MP3s, and now we don't even own anything at all. Our shelves are empty, and we can stream any song that we can think of as soon as it pops in our head. And this is going to show you how old I am, but I remember going to the library, yes, the library, the way you get books from, to rent albums. But now you just think of a song and it's there. So that blows my mind as well. But artists, meaningful contact with fans, lyrics, liner notes and other assets and revenue from sources beyond recorded music all seem to be afterthoughts now, add-ons or absent altogether in today's music industry. So to solve this problem, two musicians funded Ursa, which is a platform that weds artist-focused engagement, commerce and context with an intuitive, high-quality listener experience. And my understanding is Ursa is the only streaming service which features artist-controlled profiles, including music, photos, videos, tour dates, bios and more, but have everything in one place. And hearing about Ursa, it occurred to me that there is just nothing like this out there. And fans can explore content related to the song that they're currently listening to, including additional artwork, liner notes. Ursa's also the first streaming service to bring music professionals to the forefront with linked credits, offering a new, exciting approach to music discovery. So I'm genuinely quite excited about this one. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to New York so we can speak with Chris Jones from Ursa. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Chris. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes, hey everyone. My name's Chris Jones. I am the founder of Ursa Music. And we've been working on a product, a new music streaming platform that we hope is going to be a really nice next evolution for artists. It's a very artist-centric platform, and we hope it's also going to create a deeper engagement for fans. So we've been working on that now for some time, and we're getting ready to launch in the fall. So I'm happy to be here, happy to talk to you about the product, about what we're trying to accomplish, and whatever you'd like to discuss.
Excellent. Well, on this Daily Tech podcast, one of the things I'm fascinated by is not necessarily the product or the service itself, but the very human story behind that tech startup. So can you tell me a little bit more about the inspiration behind this and also how this authentic insider perspective inspired you to create Ursa? Because I've got a feeling there's a big story behind this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up as a musician in New York City, and I'd spent a lot of years playing, the clubs around here, CBGB's, Joe's Pub, the Bitter End, Mercury Lounge, kind of the general circuit, did some national touring. And throughout that time, whenever I would talk to fans or anybody that was interested in what I was doing, it was something where I would try to direct them. I always felt like I wanted to direct them to one thing, but I found that I had to direct them to multiple spaces to find any kind of information on me and what I was doing. And I felt like that was always a challenge and that it could be addressed in a more simple way. So I began to formulate some ideas around, consolidating this experience and why that would be important, my ability to continually engage with that audience as they were not only getting a clear picture of who I was as an artist, but they could get a deeper understanding of the music that I was recording and performing. So I, had been bouncing that around my mind, worked on some ideas, and then I met with my co-founder, Chad Royce, who unfortunately is not here today, but an excellent guy, also a producer, songwriter. He was also a professional drummer, played around New York City quite a bit. And so he and I had been pals. We'd had a bass player that we both had performed with. And so we sat down one night and, sort of went back and forth on the concept and decided to create what is now Ursa, Ursa Music. So generally the idea is to allow artists the ability to create content and context for their fans around the music that they're streaming. So what we do, we essentially let artists connect to their music catalogs, and then they can go about creating videos, photos, liner notes. We're bringing in additional artwork. We're going to allow ticket sales, live streaming. We're trying to really create this artist-centric space where we're not only giving artists the ability to control their musical lives, but we're allowing them to also add context, but we're also giving them additional sort of revenue streams in addition. And that was something Chad and I, we'd always sort of felt like it would be great to be able to not only control your experience, to not only also have that engagement in one place, but to be able to say beyond streaming revenue, what else can we provide, not only ourselves as artists, but other artists. We found that was crucially important. So what we say is by solving problems for artists, we're creating a deeper engagement for fans. And that's, kind of how it all began. And, to give you some more insight on the platform itself, just really sort of needs as musicians. I think musicians are all entrepreneurs, always trying to problem solve, trying to figure out ways to make their lives easier, the engagement for their fans more complete. And they have to manage their businesses in a professional way. Otherwise, they're really going to have a hard time continuing to be musicians. So from this artist perspective, we were able to really glean a lot of insight from our own experiences traveling, touring, performing, and in terms of managing our own careers. And also, getting some firsthand perspective from fans on what they were looking for, the kinds of information that they really enjoyed. Also thinking about our childhood experiences of pouring through vinyl and the liner notes and those inserts and sort of really feeling that emotional connection that we felt to the music itself. We really wanted to make this something that transcended that sort of vinyl experience and was placed into this digital realm in a way that was meaningful and, just as powerful. And as we've seen, a lot of these things have sort of been stripped away in time, and we felt like as artists it was important to try to bring that back into the experience for the new younger kids who may not understand what that whole feeling was really like.
I think it's fantastic what you're doing now, especially in this age of disposable music. And I'm so glad that you brought up the subject there of the needs of the musicians too, because there are plenty of streaming services available these days to choose from, but they all focus exclusively on the listener's ease and put artists' needs second. So can you tell me more about how the aspects crucial to artists are actually just appear to be afterthoughts, add-ons, or completely absent altogether?
Yeah, so a few of the things that we're doing, for instance, I'll bringing back credits. So we're allowing, we know some of these other streaming platforms are beginning to do this in various ways. For us, we felt like this was something that had to be a really thorough form of discovery as well. So, for instance, an artist can come on Ursa, they can actually distribute credits to the proper rights holders. We have this thing we call a double verified credit, where both the artist and the person, that co-creator, have verified that that particular credit is correct, and then it's then sort of made active on Ursa. And so when we have this really unique music player, as you're swiping over, you can see an entire list of the credits, and you can actually tap into a person's profile. Let's say it's the producer, and you can get a clear understanding of what they've done. You get to see their entire discography. So things like that, as artists, we feel like, all right, this is important for a lot of careers, not only us, but for the producer, the mixer, the engineer, or the studio guitar player, or the studio piano player, anybody who's really contributed. That artist-centric importance is something that we think was very valuable. So we tried to make an experience that was going to bring them back into the fold. As you rightly pointed out, a lot of other streaming services out there. For us, one thing that's unique to us is that artists, producers, mixers, all these co-contributors can actually have a profile on Ursa, so they can control their own experience for their fans. So whatever they've been credited on, it's going to be there. And around that, they can create context. They can provide more information about who they are, potentially get work that way. We're going to incorporate a lot of different features that are going to help them advance their careers and take advantage of the kind of potentially traffic that they're getting to their profile. So that's one particular piece of this. As I mentioned before, creating more diverse revenue streams for artists. We're going to be, as I mentioned, doing live streaming. We're going to be doing merch sales, ticket sales, VIP offerings, a host of things, and anything and everything we can think of as artists to advance in, that sense of control, that sense of, the ability to actually affect change in their professional careers. So in time, we're going to be rolling out a lot of features that are going to give artists additional streams of revenue that are sort of complementary to the music that they're streaming and getting paid for. Another artist-centric way of going about this. We have something that's interesting. If you as a band, we always felt like it would be nice to make sure that artists have a sense of individual feeling inside of a group. So when you go to a group's page, like any band you want, if it were a Radiohead or whomever, you would actually be able to see the members in that band. You could tap on that particular member, find out what they're about as well, other things they've worked on, continuing that constant discovery that we think is important in this space. This artist-centric sort of way of thinking about it, we feel like give artists the ability to control the content, the ability to control that engagement, to have a place in that engagement that's real time, giving them the ability to produce every single day. We feel like if that is the experience, that fans are going to really absorb that. They're going to warm to that. They're going to find new ways and new things that they never really understood before, maybe about the artist, about the song, maybe a new artist that they didn't really understand that they liked, a new producer, whomever it might be. That artist-centric way of thinking about it, we're just feeling like give artists the tools, all of this ability to control, and through that, fans will really get a wider, exploration, and they'll feel like they're going to be discovering and accustomed to that's going to be powerful for them.
And you've founded Ursa to solve the problems that we're talking about here. But I'm curious, where do you begin to tackle these problems with your artist-focused platform? Was it just like a wish list of things that have frustrated you throughout the years?
Yeah, I think generally there's a lot of things as an artist you sort of realize that you need when you're being an artist. We're thinking in different modes, not only it's the music, but then we got to think about, well, what's the artwork look like? All right, what's the video look like? How am I going to get these things out to my audience? How am I then think about the tour? How am I then going to think about just sort of how I'm relating to my audience? How am I thinking about a host of things that list goes on. And I think when you realize that artists kind of share a lot of similar things in common, and that we're thinking about in all of these different modes, you realize there's a common set of issues to be dealt with. And, it begins to become sort of concrete in your own mind, like, all right, how can I then convey these need sets into this digital space and to give artists the control to sort of solve these problems? So in terms of sort of tackling a greater picture, I just thought about it really. I think with anything that you're trying to build or accomplish in your life, you're always going to sort of consider how something is affecting you, if it's something that's relating to you. I just thought about, and Chad and we both sort of thought about, what does it mean to be an artist? Where are the areas that need improvement? Where are we currently in this, modern music space? And where do we see ourselves going in the future? By just trying to think about it from, sort of your own needs sets as an artist, you begin to, there's some commonality between you and your fellow artist. And once you start to see that, you can begin to solve those issues by suggesting to yourself, hey, what would work for me? What would make my life easier? What would be cooler for my fans? And so that exercise, I think, it's something that every artist will kind of consider. But then the difference is, are you going to go and sort of go after it and do that? And that is, something we've tried to accomplish here.
So am I also right in saying that it's the only streaming service that features artist-controlled profiles, videos, tour dates, bios, and more, all in one place? Because as a music fan myself, I've not seen anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, you've also probably not seen anything like this that is actually a music streaming platform. There are a lot of companies that sort of try to achieve or solve one of the problems that artists face, and they'll narrow down their scope into that one space, and they'll do a good job of that. But we're really trying to accomplish everything, and also have the music on board. So we really felt like anchoring the experience with the music and then creating engagement around it was the way to go. So yeah, it's kind of a unique thing in that we feel like this is the next evolution of sort of music streaming, music engagement. Heading into the future, this idea of consolidation and engagement is kind of where I feel like everything is moving towards. For us, yeah, as I said, some other companies may attack one problem or another, but we felt like to do it around the music that their fans are streaming, it just seems like the right way to go. It always felt like when you go to another music streaming platform, you've got your fans there listening. You can see that sort of monthly engagement number go up and up and up, and you're saying to yourself, that's a lot of people. Now, why can't I talk to those people? Why can't I engage with those people? Why can't I understand, what specific songs? They understand the specific song, but why can't I understand like what more I can offer these people? Like what more would make sense for me to convey? What kind of message? What are they thinking about everything in general? It just seemed like a missed opportunity. Why not just be able to connect with those people as they're listening to music? Give them the opportunity to engage with you in this setting and just consolidate the experience around the music. For us, that just seemed like a no-brainer. And I certainly think other companies are sort of making gestures in that direction. But one of the issues I find is that it's a challenge to sort of re-engineer a platform that's already been thought through from the fan experience only. And because we've thought about this from an artist's experience, it's easy for us to tack on new feature sets for artists as we move along, as new things become apparent to us. And it's easier for us to tack on new things for fans because of the way we've set it up. The user experience is such that we can continue to expand in a way that feels natural. The UX of this thing, it's really easy to understand. Nothing is really hidden. Whereas other companies, when they're trying to bring in new features, tend to have a difficult time navigating or re-engineering their platform to accommodate a feature like that. Therefore, it just becomes less powerful or diluted in some fashion. But with us, thinking about it from artist engagement from the beginning is very crucial. And when you do that, you're going to be able to build an expansive platform that will continue to expand in the future.
And it really sounds like you have the best of both worlds with everything in one place here. And I know you're still in beta at the moment, and obviously this fall things are going to change. But the question I've got to ask is, how are you going to increase adoption for both users and artists to make it a success and get especially fans away from those traditional streaming platforms and over to your platform?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's probably what keeps you awake at night, right?
One thing that we're doing that's really interesting and that we like, again, in the spirit of trying to participate in artists' lives and to support them, for instance, there's a band called Real Estate that we were lucky enough to sponsor at their latest show at Webster Hall. So they were, it was the launch of Webster Hall. They were excited to, be performing again. And a couple things. So they needed a live video. They had this really intricate LED screen system that they wanted to use, and they needed some support for that. So we said, we're going to give these guys some money and help them out with that particular feature. And it wasn't, it was a really important to them. We felt like it'd be good to support this band that we are going to now have that are now on the platform. So we went ahead and sponsored that, and we gave them some money to accommodate that. But the main initiative that we've been doing with artists like Real Estate and with some others is where we're doing this sort of merch buyback, we're calling it. And this is kind of part of our, a marketing strategy, again, to support artists. We're essentially just saying, hey, we'll buy 100 of your T-shirts, at the full cost. And we're going to give them out free to your fan base in exchange for a sign-up. So it helps the band with money that they need to put back into their tour, to put, to buying food, to buying amps, to buying whatever they need. And it helps us as a company to sort of get the word out, to fans. We're getting signups right then. So that's one, area that we're focusing on, just live events, being there for the artist, meeting the fans personally, telling them, who we are and what we're about, giving them demonstrations of the platform itself if they want, walking in through it, whatever we can do. We felt like that, there's really not, that's sort of the best thing you can do. There's getting in somebody's, in someone's space, meeting them face to face, being around the artist, being around the fans. There's really nothing better than that. So that's one aspect. And, we hope some of the other marketing areas that we're going to focus on in terms of some of these newer feature sets that we offer, trying to create some really creative, media around it, whatever partnerships we can sort of accrue over time. We're looking, for a lot of creative ways. Now, in terms of pulling people away from streaming services, we hope what we're going to be doing is going to be complementary in the beginning. There's that SoundCloud audience that we're really looking for as well, which I can't stress enough. SoundCloud creators are fantastic. All of these artists who are on that platform trying to publish content, Ursa is the next step for them. Ursa is going to be, I think, the natural progression for them to come over to our space. They're going to have all that ability to create context around the music that they're going to be getting paid for. So the music will be, we essentially have the licensing deals arranged. So when you get on, your music is waiting for you. So these artists can come over, they can connect to their music and then just start. They can create all the context for their fans that they want. So those really engaged artists who are consistently trying to publish, to reach out to their fans, all those SoundCloud creators are going to find a really nice home at Ursa Music. They're going to understand it from day one that this is going to be that next evolution for them in terms of their ability to really dig in and create context for the fans that they love. Eventually, we're going to do self-uploads, things like that down the line, but we wanted to start in a way that was going to be, first and foremost, all rights holders are getting paid. So we didn't want to run into any legal issues. But from this, so having achieved that, having all this music waiting for them, it's going to be a nice transition, I think, for a lot of those creators from SoundCloud to come over to Ursa Music and begin a new way of doing things with their audience. So, just marketing to certain people like that, hoping that fans, they'll come on the platform. We're actually free in the beginning. So we'll give you a 30-day free trial, and you can come on the platform and use it all you want. After that 30 days elapses, if you want to press play or view lyrics, at that point, we'll give you a paywall. But you can continue to use the platform for free if you don't listen to music or you don't want to look at lyrics. So artists can essentially, publish whatever content they want to. They can reach out to their fans. They can post things to the feed. They can do whatever they need to manage their career continuously on the platform without having to pay anything. It's just we ask that everybody pay once they want to listen to music or view lyrics. So we think, that's something once we get artists and fans comfortable with the platform, once they realize, hey, I'm looking at these interesting liner notes from this particular artist. I think that's really amazing. We're going to have play buttons. We have play buttons all over our feed. If they eventually get comfortable enough to want to press play, maybe they will. I think it's something where we're going to have to prove ourselves. We're going to have to prove the convenience of the platform. We're going to have to show all of the artists and fans that this is a better way of doing things for fans, especially if you want to talk about transitioning from one platform to another. I think it's, showing what we've got, showing all of this deeper information, the expanse of what we're trying to accomplish here, all of the various information, the depth of it that they can sort of get to around the artists that they love. And then once they feel like, hey, these guys approved it and they press play, they're going to want to subscribe. So that's the hope. We feel like in time, as I say, beginning as a complementary platform and then, maybe taking some market share in time. I mean, obviously Spotify, Apple, all these companies are big companies, and we can appreciate everything they've done in terms of, you've got this great library of music that now all of a sudden is available to you in every single way. That's kind of an exciting thing. But additionally, we've just said, well, you've thought about a lot of things. Here's some things from an artist's perspective that you haven't thought of. We're going to take over that space, and we hope to, show fans why that's important as well.
And I know it's very early days at Ursa at the moment, but from the conversations that you've been having, what kind of feedback have you had so far from both artists that you've approached and indeed from fans?
Honestly, it's been fantastic feedback. Artists have been very excited about the idea of having everything in one space, and they've, generally just had a wonderful response to the platform. As well, fans have. So we're, as you said, we're in early days. We are still in a private beta, so it's not open to the public. They can't just come on board and sign up quite yet. We're hoping that's going to be for fall. But thus far it's been overwhelmingly positive, I have to say. We've been fortunate to get some really interesting artists. We have, as I said, Real Estate. We've got Wyclef Jean on board. We've got, several interesting artists, that we've been fortunate to get on the platform. We're working on deals with Mick Management's entire roster, some really exciting stuff there, and some things that I probably can't mention yet just because they haven't been finalized. But, in terms of, from a manager's perspective, from a label perspective, from agent perspective, everybody's been generally very excited about the platform and what we're trying to accomplish for their artists. And as well, when we get into these other conversations with artists, they've all been over the moon, and actually getting into the platform, they've been thoroughly pleased. And fans as well have had, a similar experience. I think, as you say, once we get into this larger launch, I think we're really going to be able to spread our wings and show people, the full scope of what we're trying to accomplish. So we're hoping that that kind of feedback is going to continue into the future.
We are living in a collaborative age now, and technology is tearing down barriers. But what excites you about building this connection again between fans and artists? I
think for me, as an artist, it was always about being able to truly present who you are in a great many through a great many channels. I always felt like, for me, just that sort of continuous ability to produce content, whether it be the photos, the videos, liner notes, giving some stories around the song itself, through the credits, making sure all of my friends, all the guys who spend so much hard work on the product with me, on the songs, on the albums, were getting the credit that they deserved. Things like that really excite me. Generally, the music community having an overall positive experience, getting paid, and with, as I said, more revenue channels. It's going to be really important that artists feel like they're being supported. So I think from my perspective, just from the artist side, making sure that the general artist community feels like we're looking after them. If I can accomplish that, I think, we'll feel like we've succeeded. Artists, as in the music business, we get knocked around a little bit. There are bad contracts, or we're sort of left out of the conversation, or we're not getting paid, in ways that we feel we should. We're really trying to solve those problems to create an honest platform where everything is transparent, where artists have the ability to be in control of it, to get paid for it, to continue to get more revenue streams as we move along, to hear what they're saying, to be able to actually reach out to their own fans, to be able to look at their own analytics and say, well, this is how I can construct my tour. This is how I can sort of go about reaching out to my fan base. We think that's important. So I think, for me, what's exciting is to be able to see the artist community feel like this is something that is something that they can embrace, that is going to reflect some of the issues that they deal with as well, and that we've done a good job of solving it. I think for fans, it's like the younger kids who may not have been exposed to some of these features like liner notes, this new music player that we have that's going to be a really wonderful, eye-opening experience for them. We're hoping that, and I hope that this will turn them on to music in general, give them a deeper understanding, but additionally, through some of the crediting systems, they're going to be able to find a musician, another artist, a guitar player, somebody that they didn't think they would like, and they realize, hey, I'm a new fan. So I think we're all about, creating new and more fans from the experience. And as I said, making sure that we're taking care of artists in the process.
And like we were saying, it is that you are in private beta mode at the moment. You've got big plans for the fall, but is there anything else high level that you can share around the timeline or roadmap and what the future looks like?
There's not too much that I can share. I think, obviously, we're just sort of working hard to make sure we hit our sort of targets. In terms of what we see for the future, we'll have some great partnerships with specific artists where we're going to be present at their shows. We're going to have a tour calendar of stuff that we'll be able to share with our fans and say, hey, we'll be at so-and-so show. Come and join us. Come and meet us. Here's the platform. We're excited to do that. In terms of feature rollout, we have a lot of different things that we've got on the docket that we're going to sort of lay out and roll out in time. And I think that'll be exciting as they come out in time. So don't necessarily want to just suggest all of it at this moment. So there's not a whole lot I can say. Just, we're excited to launch. We're excited to get, this platform, this app out in the hands of users to see, how they generally feel about it. We're excited to continue forward, getting the kind of positive response from artists and continue to partner with all artists all over the world in any way we can to just try to continue to foster, music in general on a whole. So there's not a whole lot more I can say. We just hope it's successful. In the future, we see success. We see continued growth. We see hopefully a lot of smiles on people's faces when they use the platform.
And for anyone that wants to follow your progress quite closely, can you just point them in the direction of your website, your social channels, and also the best way of contacting your team if they do have any additional questions or they want to support you guys?
Absolutely. So if you're an artist out there, or artist or fan, we're ursamusic.com. As we said earlier, we're in private beta. So you can sign up for our waiting lists. And for artists and fans, we have both an artist and a fan waiting list. Go ahead, give us your email, sign up. We'll send you an invite to the app, and you can get started right away. We do have a contact. Our A&R team is always available to receive any kind of communication. So go ahead and email us if you like to. All those emails are on the website itself. Our social channel is Ursa Music. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we're at Ursa Music. So a couple ways of doing it. And as we said, we're going to be out in the fall. So at that point, anybody can sign up onto the platform. We're excited to have you. But yes, feel free to go to ursamusic.com, sign up for the waiting list, reach out to our A&R team if you're interested in, getting on the platform now before we fully roll out. If you're a fan, we'll invite you on now as well.
Well, I always say at the end of every episode that technology works best when it brings people together. But what I love about what you're doing here is you're using technology to rebuild this connection between fans and artists. And not only that, you're also looking after the needs of the artists too. And I think it's just something quite beautiful about everything that you've created here. But more than anything, just a big thank you for coming on and sharing that story with me today. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.
I'm quite excited about this one. Ursa is currently in private beta and will launch later this year. And it will be the only music streaming platform built by artists, for artists, and the fans that love them. So like I said, it is currently invitation only. So if you are a music fan, I recommend that you sign up now and then you can get your name on that list early before hopefully it goes live in the fall. And it certainly looks like music is going to continue to evolve. And for this music lover and podcast host, it can only be a great thing. But I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this one because everybody loves music. Yes, our musical tastes are entirely subjective, but I think we all share a passion and love for music. And I think any of us can hear a song and it can transport us back in time within just a couple of bars. And how powerful is that? So as always, you can email me techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, go on my website techblogwriter.co.uk if you'd like to find out more. I'll also post the links to Ursa that Chris mentioned. And you can also browse many other podcast interviews there as we race towards 1,000 interviews. But that's it for today. So I'll return tomorrow. We've got another great guest lined up for you, but I know I always say that, and I like to think that I don't let you down. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.